Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra. This is Jarvis, and we appreciate you guys for coming back and joining us each and every day. Thanks for subscribing to our YouTube channel and just rocking with the whole Locked On Sports Atlanta family. And also, wherever you download your podcast, keep downloading our podcast and giving us 5-star reviews. We always appreciate the support and the feedback because, hey, we listen to what you guys have to say. And we also have our ear to the streets for NBA free agency because it is still ongoing. It's been a quiet couple days, but it's still ongoing. Of course, we know that the Hawks made their big splash early last week with the announcement that they traded to get Dejounte Murray, and that was a great move. It was one of those sneak moves, however, because he wasn't one of those free agents that everybody was looking at because nobody knew that the Spurs were even interested in trying to shop him, right? Until he came here. Now we know that it was probably in the works for a couple of weeks. That said, then there was the trade of Kevin Huerter, which I think shocked a lot of people. So he goes
Yeah.
out to
Yeah.
Sacktown, and Mo
hmm
Harkless and Justin Holiday come here. And of course, Aaron Holiday gets signed from the Suns as well. So just continuing to have that backup support for the backcourt. But there are still some pieces that need to be added, seemingly as the East has continued to get better. So, Jarvis, does that mean Travis Schlenk, Landry Fields and company still are working on something big?
You know what? To be honest with you, see, I feel like it has to be right. I mean, and not. I mean, I know everybody wants to, think about, oh yeah, because of John Collins. No, not necessarily John Collins. I think that just from a perspective of a global view of this squad going forward, right? Because I think that if that player is still out there,
Mm-hmm.
because I think in the beginning we talked about different players like who were untouchable, right? And I think that Trey. I think it started off with Trey Young. Trey Young's the only one that's is coming back. But as things start to come along, we start to find out more information. We noticed that DeAndre Hunter is probably going to
Mm-hmm.
stick around. We know that they didn't want to get rid of him. And then
Exactly.
when the trade of Dejounte Murray,
Mm-hmm.
and now that Kevin Herter is gone, it's kind of like, all
Right.
right, well, who's next? And I
Right.
think that it could be John.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's still a possibility of a Capella potentially,
Yeah.
maybe around for them to kind of figure out what they want to do, right? Because I think they have some flexibility, right? Because we know they want to get Onyeka Okongwu more minutes. Okay,
Yes.
how do we do that? Do we remove the guy that we think that he can play the four
Mm-hmm.
consistently,
Mm-hmm.
or do we move the guy out that still kind of fairly young, but
Mm-hmm.
to NBA standards, but not necessarily a spring chicken in Clint Capella,
Right.
or and bump him down to the five. So I
Right.
think you still have some flexibility down in your front court to kind of make a
Mm-hmm.
move, but it's just. But when you think about the landscape, right? Because you have
Yeah.
to have a trade
Who's
partner to
available?
trade with
Yep.
somebody, and I think the first person that names that come to mind that's still out there is DeAndre Ayton, and that doesn't really move me too much. I
Yeah.
know he's
Yeah.
he's younger. He's
Mm-hmm.
not the rim protector that Clint Capella is,
Right.
but I think he can be. The offensively he can be a little bit more flexible with Ayton in there at that position. So I think there. I like the. It might not be a one specific move or one or two
Right.
specific moves that the Hawks can make, but I do like the fact that the Hawks are actually flexible in
Mm-hmm.
what they can do because they still have some moving pieces on their roster, up and down their roster, that they can make to potentially get somebody that we might not even see right now who
Right.
might be available.
Right. And for me, it's the positionless basketball. Because if
Yeah.
you look at it from that perspective and not so much, okay, who's going to be the three, who's going to be the four, who's going to be the five, it may be a situation where you just get a guy who is a stretch. And
Right.
that stretch guy can then be in the lineup when you don't go with the traditional 1 through 5. So maybe you
Mm-hmm.
go with 3 guards and 2 forwards, just, here and there, because, and of course, Golden State is kind of the bell cow for it and
Right.
really the blueprint for how you do positionless basketball. But that to me could be an option as well, which would allow you to maybe keep a John Collins and a Clint Capella because you're not necessarily taking their place, if you will. You're not necessarily looking for somebody to take their place, but you're looking for a positionless guy who you can just shift around as needed. And he could be a strong second unit person.
Mm-hmm.
And not that Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson are positionless per se, but they're those strong second unit pieces that almost feel like a true extension of your starting five.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the other piece there, because for me, the appeal for Dejounte Murray was the fact that he was on nobody's radar. Nobody's, because he's
Yes.
not a free agent, right? So
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking, so that's what I'm kind of digging into. I'm literally, Jarvis, every day kind of going through different rosters and saying, wonder if maybe that's a possibility for a trade of nobody who's a free agent, but just a team that is willing to be a partner the way the Spurs were willing to be a partner. And speaking of partners, there is a company that maybe some of you guys want to partner for if you are looking for quality online jewelry that Jarvis is going to tell us a little bit more about.
Go to BlueNile.com. That is the jewelry company that will make sure when you're ready to pop the question, celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. That's the place where you want to go if you're
Mhm.
trying to figure it out. Because I know for me, T, when it comes to that process,
Yes.
like it can be stressful
Oh,
because
yeah.
but Blue Nile is gonna simplify that thing for you, right? Because they have the online tools. They let you choose the diamond shape, the size,
Mhm.
and the clarity as well as the setting style.
Nice.
Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is one of a kind, so
Mhm.
she will not see another woman out there with that same exact ring. And we know how important that is when
Yes.
you're trying to select the ring because, I'm sitting up here stressing about what I'm going to buy for my wife, or what ring I should get. And thankfully, my
Mhm.
wife was very helpful in that process. And hopefully, your partner and whoever you're engaged to, they'll help you out as well. But
Yes.
BlueNile.com got you checked out and here's how they're going to take care of you. You know, when you're making that moment, when you're trying to figure out what to do, go to BlueNile.com. And for all you listeners of Locked
Mhm.
On, you get $50 off of $500 or more.
Woohoo.
That is the code. All you got to do is use the code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop
Yes.
stress free and find your forever peace. Go to BlueNile.com today. Put in the code Locked On.
Yes. And speaking of forever peace, other than Trey Young, I don't know that there's a forever peace with the Hawks, especially because players move
Right.
around so much.
So much. Yes.
Yeah, so we think we've seen some inklings of short term forever, in this next 2 to 3 year window, because it appears that with the departure of Kevin Huerter, that kind of cements Bogey, at least for now, Bogdan
Right.
Bogdanovic,
Yeah.
to be the leader of that second unit, subject to change. And then you mentioned at the three position, seems like DeAndre Hunter is pretty cemented there. And
Right.
then
Pretty
at the
much. Yeah.
four, there's where the question might come, or the five. But I still say I agree with you. And for me, Jarvis, it doesn't matter whether the Hawks make a big move, because who knows, that opportunity may not be available. Because real talk, if you're thinking about Kevin Durant or you're thinking about a DeAndre Ayton, it may not be a fit as far as what the asking price is from the Nets or from the Suns, right? And real talk, there may just be that guy who has so many restrictions on his contract. Like, I'm looking at DeAndre Ayton. Okay, he's a restricted free agent, so it's not like you're going to just get him, or even a Colin Sexton. He's a restricted free agent. So when I kind of look down this list of players that are still available, I don't really see anybody who is viable for the Hawks as far as what they need in a big name. So
Right.
I go back to, I think I just want to see them make some moves, but not necessarily a person that we all have on our radar. I kind of want to see Landry Fields and Travis Schlenk be creative again. Let me see what you got in the bag for somebody that none of us thought could make a difference, but could get you hopefully leapfrogged into the top four of the East.
I'm with you, T. Basically, earn that paycheck that you're
Darn
getting.
it. Yes.
Landry Fields got a promotion, so I'm assuming that, I don't like to be in all of everybody's pockets and stuff. Like, me, how I get down when it comes to money. But yeah, you got a little bump. So yeah, it's time to go ahead and make the bread. And we already know Travis Schlenk is working the phones trying to figure out
Yes.
what is going on with the Hawks and see how they can get better, because that's been the motto, that's been the mantra, right? Figure out how to get better. And I think they've gotten off to a really good start so far.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because again, with some of these additions to the backcourt, if nothing else, it gives you the opportunity in the departure of DeLon Wright, and I assume the impending retirement of Lou Williams. It just gives you pieces. So now it becomes okay. Let's get some more pieces on the wing, possibly to for that front court, as you mentioned. So speaking of nostalgia, because I think about Lou Williams and I think about nostalgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking Speaking of nostalgia, a lot of us have nostalgia from a couple years ago about what we want to see now that some pieces have moved to something that is very close to us. So Jarvis and I are going to talk about that on the other side of For the Culture right here on ATL Day One.